All right, let's get right into it. Today, we are going to decode the architectural blueprint of the human face. We're going to break down the system, the secret code, really, that makes a portrait feel real, balanced, and truly alive.
You know that feeling, right? When you're looking at a drawing of a face and something just feels a little off. You can't quite put your finger on it, but it's there. Well, the answer almost always comes down to one simple thing: proportions. It's a subtle code for sure, but once you learn to read it, everything changes.
So here's our game plan for cracking that code. First, we'll look at the problem itself. Then we're going to build our solution, piece by piece. We'll start with a vertical blueprint, then map out depth, tackle that tricky three-quarter view, and finally put it all together to place every single feature with total confidence.
Okay, so the proportions problem. You know, the big secret that so many master artists understood is that getting a face right, it's not some kind of innate magical talent. Nope, it's about having a system, a repeatable, reliable technique that you can count on every single time.
And that system is built on a classic artistic principle, the rule of thirds. Now, you've probably heard of this in photography, right? Well, for our purposes, we're adapting it for the architecture of the human head. We'll apply it across two key dimensions, height and depth, to build a complete 3D grid.
So think of it this way. We've got two directions to master. First, there are the vertical thirds. These divide the face from the hairline all the way down to the chin, and they tell us exactly where the eyes, nose, and mouth are supposed to go. Then we have the horizontal thirds, which divide the head from front to back. This is what gives us that sense of depth and helps us place features like the ears. Let's tackle that vertical blueprint first.
Okay, the vertical blueprint. This is all about mapping the height of the face. We're basically creating the foundational zones where all of our features are going to live.
And you know what's amazing is that this entire complex structure, it all starts with just two simple horizontal lines. That's it, just two lines across a blank head shape. So here's how they work. That first line we draw creates our top third, running from the hairline down to the eyebrows. Our second line creates the middle third, which goes from the eyebrows to the base of the nose. And then everything below that, all the way down to the chin, that becomes the bottom third. And just like that, you've got three perfectly equal sections.
So what goes where? Well, the top third is pretty simple. It's just the forehead and the hairline. The bottom third holds the mouth and chin. But you got to pay attention to that middle third. That is the crucial section. It holds the eyebrows, the eyes, and the base of the nose. Seriously, this section is the anchor for the entire face.
Great, we've got our vertical grid down. But faces aren't flat, are they? Of course not. So now we need to map for depth. Let's see how this system works when we start looking at a face from different angles, starting with the side profile.
Now, for the side view, we divide the head's width into three equal vertical segments. And here's what's so fascinating. All of the facial features, the forehead, nose, mouth, chin, everything, are squished into that very first segment. The second segment is just the temple, and the third is the back of the skull. Oh, and notice the ear. Its placement is super precise, landing just behind that second dividing line.
Let's just quickly put these two views side by side. For the side profile, we divide the width into thirds. But for a straight-on front view, it's much simpler. We just divide the face in half with one vertical line down the middle. So the rule is easy to remember. Thirds for the side, halves for the front.
But let's be real, we don't always look at faces from the direct front or the direct side. The most common, the most dynamic, and yeah, the most challenging angle is the three-quarter view. But don't worry, for that, we have a brilliant little technique called the box method.
So here's how we combine our previous rules to pull this off. First, you just imagine the head as a simple box. This helps you find that crucial corner where the front plane of the face meets the side plane. Next, you apply our front view rule. You split that front plane in half with a vertical line. Then you apply our side view rule. You split the side plane into thirds. And just like that, you've built a perfect 3D grid for the three-quarter view.
All right, we've done the hard work. We've constructed our grids for every angle. Now comes the payoff. We're going to use this scaffolding to place every single feature with pinpoint precision. This is where it all comes together. And here it is, the master checklist. So let's use it. Look at the eyes. Vertically, they're right there in the middle third. Horizontally, they stay on the front plane. The nose? Its base sits exactly on the bottom line of that same middle third. The mouth is locked entirely into the bottom third. And the ears? They line up perfectly with that middle third, from the eyebrow to the nose. But horizontally, they sit just behind that second dividing line on the side plane. See?
Every feature has a precise address on this grid.
Now, let's focus on one crucial connection that really ties it all together, the jawline. Just like the quote says, this single line connects the bottom of the ear to the chin. Think about what that means on our grid. It's connecting a feature on the side plane, the ear, to a feature on the front plane, the chin. This is the line that gives the face its solid structure and frames the entire portrait.
So, here's the most important takeaway. What we've just unpacked, this isn't just a collection of random drawing tips you have to memorize. It's the fundamental, underlying architectural blueprint of the human face. Once you really understand the structure, you can build any face you can possibly imagine right on top of it. So now, you have the system. You have the code. You have the blueprint. The only question left is, what face are you going to create with it?